So in this video, I will share what I do to keep my gut problems in remission, so to say. I used to have Candida, Candida infection in my gut, and it gave me tons of health issues for many years. The most problematic issues were that I developed a lot of food intolerances, but not only, I had very, very bad general health. I was sick all the time. I had lots of skin issues. I had constantly runny nose, blocked nose. I had tons of issues. I was losing my hair, many issues. So if you want more details about my story, go watch my previous videos. In the beginning of the channel, I have some videos where I explain my health journey. So what do I do now that I'm healed, to stay healed, to stay healthy, to not have Candida infecting me all over again? So the first thing I do is that I completely avoid chemical products, and especially chemical drugs, okay, medicines. It has been more than 10 years that I haven't taken any antibiotics, whereas I was really addicted to antibiotics before. For most of my life, I was taking antibiotics at least once per year, and at the worst time of my life, in the beginning of my 20s, I was taking antibiotics every month or every 2 months. It was horrible. I was sick constantly with very bad fevers that could not go away without antibiotics. So that's why I had to take antibiotics all the time. Otherwise, I could not heal, or that's what I thought at the time. But anyway, so I used to take tons of antibiotics, and that's something I don't do anymore, and I will never take antibiotics ever again, as much as possible. Okay, we never know what can happen, but I know that it is completely possible to avoid antibiotics most of the time, and I have a video about that where I share what I do when I need antibiotics. I use natural antibiotics, so I will put the link of that video in the comments. So this is really the most important thing to me. I avoid drugs at all costs. Another thing I do is I avoid chemicals, like generally in my life. I don't use any chemicals anymore on my skin. I don't use commercial deodorants anymore. I don't use toothpaste anymore. I don't use moisturizers for my face or for my body anymore. I use natural things instead. I use natural shampoo. I use natural soap. I don't put anything chemical on my skin anymore. I never use sunscreens anymore. I don't use anything chemicals, neither on myself, neither to clean my place. I don't use any chemicals. I only use white vinegar to clean, my bathroom and stuff like that. And of course, in my food, I avoid chemicals at all costs also. So I eat organic, almost 100% organic, as much as possible. I even eat wild as much as possible. I eat wild plants in areas that are not polluted, of course. So I learned wild edible plants. So as much as possible, I eat them. And I also, as much as possible, eat wild game. I learned how to hunt, and when I can, when it's the right season, because we have different seasons here, hunting seasons in France. So when I can, I hunt and I eat my own meat from wild game. And also, of course, I avoid as much as possible processed food that are loaded with chemicals, with preservatives, with artificial colors, with fillers, and so on. So people don't realize that processed foods are bad mainly because it's not only the bad quality of the meat, or because of course you have this problem when you eat outside, when you eat at McDonald's or whatever. Usually the meat comes from cows that are sick, that never see daylight, that don't have their natural diet. They don't eat grass, they eat grains. So not only the meat is bad, but also they add tons of additives in these foods. As I said, chemical colors, preservatives, and so on. So yeah, I don't eat processed foods anymore. I also don't eat refined foods anymore, or very rarely. When I eat grains, I usually choose I don't know if it exists in English actually. I mean in the US or in English speaking countries. Here in France we have refined grains, we have whole grains, and we have something in the middle. Not sure how you would say in English, but in French it would be like semi-whole grains. So that's what I eat. I don't eat whole grains, I don't eat refined grains. Most of the time I eat in between. It still has a part of the hull, but most of it was removed, if I can explain this way. So why? It's because I think whole grains are way too rich in fiber, and we don't need as much fiber as we are told for digestion and for bowel movements. I have several videos where I talk about that on my channel. And also I don't like the taste of whole grains. I don't eat refined grains because they are void of nutrients. But yeah, in between, like semi-whole grains is the right balance for me. But anyway, I don't eat lots of grains generally. When I eat carbs, I usually choose more natural carbs that are root vegetables and fruits. And yeah, I avoid sugar as much as possible. I never eat white sugar ever again. It has been a long time. Sometimes I eat whole cane sugar, but rarely. And when I eat sugar, it's usually in the form of honey. But it's the same. I had some times where I eat lots of honey and sometimes where I barely eat any. But yeah, I really reduced my consumption of sweets. Yeah, that's very important, especially if you come from Candida overgrowth in your gut. It's very important to be careful about mainly two things: chemicals, especially drugs like antibiotics, and excess sugar in your diet. And also, from time to time, like once a year or once every 2 years, I do a mini protocol like I did when I healed my gut. I do a mini protocol where I take antifungals, natural antifungals and antimicrobials for 2 or 3 months. I take probiotics too. And all year long, I regularly consume meat stock or bone broth. I have videos about that on the channel where I show how I make them. I will put the links under the video. And also I sometimes help my body detox by taking clay or charcoal or diatomaceous earth for several weeks. And I do that, I don't know, from time to time. Sometimes I do that like for a whole month, like twice a year. Or sometimes I will take activated charcoal several days every month for a few months. So I support the detoxification process of my body. I help my body detoxifying. And I also regularly help my liver. I regularly make herbal teas to support the liver with burdock root, for example, or dandelion root, or other herbs like that for the liver. So basically that's what I do to keep my gut healthy. I don't want to have Candida ever again, but again, I really think that to me, and for a lot of people it's the same, but the reason number one I had Candida overgrowth in my gut was overuse of antibiotics. So that's why I am really careful about that. I never want to take them ever again. Okay, that's it for today. If you ever have questions, you can put them in the comments. I see you in the next video. Bye bye.